and welcome to another exciting episode of Influence and Growth Mastery Podcast. Today's interview is with one of my best friends, Branden. Branden is an entrepreneur. He's the CEO and founder of Brandex Journey. He's a king. He's a star, a marketing brand and growth strategist, 3 times Mr. USA. He has a huge following and impacts 90 countries. And now he's a music artist. So exciting. I don't want to steal his thunder. So without further ado, I want you to meet my friend, Branden. So Branden, welcome to Influence and Growth Mastery Podcast. It's such a pleasure to have you on with me tonight for this interview. Welcome.
Hello, amazing people. And Tonya, thank you so much. That intro, I need to write that down because people always ask, like, who are you? Like, I don't know how to explain it, but you just explained it perfectly. So thank you for that.
Great. Well, I'll let you borrow that.
Thank you.
So, Branden, when I interview people on the podcast, typically I love to interview people that have been very successful in their business. And I look at you and have ever since I've known you. I met you, 2 years ago now on Clubhouse. Mm-hmm. And I look back and that was a great time. But I look at you as very successful. And so I would love to talk about your journey of success. Do you mind telling us what that has been like over your career?
Yeah. So to get started, I'll talk about the roots of things. The roots of my success was a lot of dirt and a lot of unlearning. I really believe that success is more unlearning than it is learning, because from the beginning of childhood, we know who we are, and then we're told who we are. And who we're told we are versus who we actually are, there is a constant, I don't know if those listening have ever heard of the term cognitive dissonance, where it's who you are and what you do are not in alignment. And what I believe has been the greatest success, it wasn't when I made over $70,000 through social media. My greatest success is the season I'm in now, where I'm tapping back into the little 7-year-old's dream to be a star. Because the sense of satisfaction that comes from that is greater than just like the satisfaction of, hey guys, I finally made money and try to prove myself in performing. I believe the true key to success is there's no more performance. It's just being. And I feel that so many people think that their accolades or their titles and all these things make them successful. But the real land of peace, the promised land of peace, the moment of stillness comes when you are in the abundance, which means the fountain of your divine identity. And everything else is an added bonus. But if you are not flowing in who you actually were designed to be, it's not true success. So in my journey of success, I'm 32 years old. What I had to learn between all of it was I am not who you say I am. I am who I am.
I love that. I love that. Do you want to talk a little bit about, where you started in your career to where you are today in your career?
I'd love to. So you don't know you're a leader until you know you're under bad leadership.
That's good. That's really good.
Sitting at my old job, I was there for 8 years. I wasn't a great employee, but I did care for my employee, like the people I worked with. I cared for my coworkers. And as I would sit through meetings, I would literally feel like I needed to speak up because we were under a heavy bondage. And I worked in an emergency room and I was working with the insurance. So I had to collect the co-pays and all of that. And in the process of that, they kept raising the co-payment. And these are sick people. These are wounded people. These are injured people. these are people with insurance, but the insurance was all over the place because in the years 2008 and the recessions and the different Obamacare and all these things that were happening with the medical insurance, it was a disaster. And people could be paying over $1,000 for their insurance, but still had to pay another $250 when they came into the hospital, and they didn't have that. So on top of charging people that were wounded and sick, our jobs were now on the line if we were not collecting. And I was sitting in a business meeting, and I'll never forget, I believe this is where the birth of like, you are a leader and you can't be under bad leadership started to happen. We were sitting in a business meeting. I was not a manager. I was not a supervisor. I was an employee that stayed an employee, and you just kind of stay in that position forever. I was there for 8 years. I started at 18. I left at 27.
Wow.
And I was sitting in a meeting one day and I literally felt like, speak up. And I was like, who am I? Like my ideas don't matter. But I literally felt like this is your season to roar. This is your time to roar. And I had been learning from people in marketing and different things about like freedom. And I was like, wait a second, like not only is this a bondage, but they're adding more chains to this bondage. Like it's getting worse. And long story short, they were trying to convince us something that was very manipulative. And they said, we need to collect more money because we're in debt. And I, since a little kid, I would do puzzles. So I do process analysis all the time. When I choose to be smart. When I choose to be a fool, I'll go right into the hole. This is all I said to them. And you who work with banking, you would understand this, who worked with it. I said, why are we building a new building if we're in debt? I said that at the meeting.
Wow.
Yes, and like
that took courage.
The vice president of the entire department was just like, oh, but that's apples to oranges. And I said, but they're both fruit. I was like,
wow.
Yeah. There was like a boldness. I was just like, I don't even know where it came from. But I was like, this. And I said, why? And then I said, if we're in debt, why are we spending money? Like, why are you pulling from Peter to give to Paul? If Paul, like, why are you even building the building for Paul? If this is not even settled, we're not making wise financial decisions. Then then the department itself stopped liking me, and I wasn't a good employee to begin with. So it just all started to crumble, and I just quit one day. And that's where everything started, when I said I can't have someone writing my check and under the bondage of them. Because it got to a point, Tonya, where I was just like, there's horrible traffic getting to that job. It was in the corner of Kendall Drive, which is the most busy street in Miami. Like one of the most busiest streets. And I would be running just 3 minutes late. I was there for 8 years. If I'm running 3 minutes late, it's like off with your head. And it just started being more and more of those ridiculous things. And I was like, I can't bend over backwards for you guys.
So what did you do? What did you do then after you just quit? What did you do?
I built my social media platform. I started selling online coaching. I was personal training. I went into survival mode. I mean, I figured out a way to pay my bills. I was a full-time student, so I just kept going to school. I would use my student loans to pay my bills. But even in that, because I wasn't a good employee, so anybody who wants to leave their corporate job, be the best employee and then leave. Like, yeah, they're going to feel it, but you need to see yourself as an executive, because I left there and then I slept till 11 a.m. and did whatever I wanted because I'm like, I work for myself, I hit rock bottom after that, actually. Like, things started getting harder because personal training, it was good and they had high paid clients, but when one client didn't want to be there or be my client anymore, that was my whole half of my rent. So it created that whole struggle. I got to a point where I lost my beach apartment because my grandfather had let me rent his place out. But when I wasn't able to pay rent, to teach me responsibility, he's like, oh, you got to leave. And also I stopped going to the university. So they were like, what are you doing? You quit your job. You're not going to the university. I had just gotten my car voluntarily repossessed because I couldn't pay for my car anymore. And I said, but my car was a bondage. I was paying, I think, 23% interest rate.
Wow.
I was just in a whole lot of mess. So I've learned what peace is when I just started cutting off all these things. But I really hit rock bottom. But it wasn't rock bottom. It was more of like, let's start fresh, because everything that was guaranteed to you, the paycheck, the car, the house, everything was at the cost of a bondage. Like even my beach apartment, I love my grandfather, but he wouldn't let me paint the walls green because it was his place. So it was never my space, you know? And it's like thinking, oh, it's family, they're going to let me. It was more of like a dictatorship. Like things need to go how I say because this is my place. So it's like all these things that had this painted bow on them was more slavery in itself. Like I was just showing up. And that's why I've chosen that success is not coming at the cost of losing yourself in the process.
Yeah. So you went into marketing more or less, right? And found success there. Do you want to, so how did you start marketing yourself? And, and I would love to hear about your thoughts in regards to marketing and social media. Should I be on one platform, multiple platforms? What's your thoughts there? Because, so many growth strategists, marketing strategists, branding experts, they all have their opinions, but you've been very successful at what you've done. You kind of started out network marketing and kind of moved through different aspects of marketing and social media. Just talk to us about your thoughts and opinions in regards to.
Yeah. So my biggest thing is whatever you're going to do, go all in. And in the summer of 2017, before I quit my job, I decided to brand myself on social media. I was already in network marketing, but I was not promoting my supplements at all. Because I didn't want to look like that person, pushing products on their page. I wanted to be the cool fitness guy, but just because I do fitness, not because I'm selling it. Well, I went on a cruise, and it was a cruise with a bunch of entrepreneurs. Like my friends were all selling a product. Some had t-shirts. And it's funny, none of those businesses I think exist anymore. And mine did, but it started with them. And they all had business cards. And I didn't have a business card, but I said, I have Instagram. And that's when I realized, I'm like, your Instagram is your business card. And the cool thing about it is a business card, you can lose. But an Instagram follower, you have to press unfollow. And I show up in front of your face without you even looking for me. Like Tonya, you go on Instagram and you're like, there you are. So what I've realized.
Yeah, the last couple of days, every single time I open it, there you are.
That means you're also liking it. So the algorithm also knows who likes it, comments. But also, I started showing up on multiple platforms when my last Instagram account fell apart, because I realized I had too much attachment to one, and there's people on different ones. And some people will be on TikTok and never on Instagram, but that's still somebody who needs what you offer. So finding a way to do it, but repurposing your content. So only when it's live do I really do different content. But if it's a video, like a short form video of 15, 30, 45 seconds, they'll be on all my platforms. Because why not? Why not just share the same video on other ones? Now, when it's live, I just discovered that TikTok, those who don't know, TikTok allows 10-minute videos. So now if I do a live video on Instagram, I could take that video, put it in one of my Facebook groups of my clients, the Brandex growth group. And then I'll take that same video. If it's a 20-minute video, split it into 2 10-minute videos on TikTok. So it's part 1, part 2. So I am getting the information and quality all the platforms. Here in the Philippines, there's one called Fumu. It's all Filipinos, but I want a micro influence here as well. And what I've realized is go all in. So a little sneak peek. I have someone who's an agent of the app Kumu. They get you campaigns and things like that. I'm like, let's do it. If I'm going to be on an app, I don't want to just be someone who's like, hey guys. No, I'm going all in. I just created a new Instagram, and within that Instagram, I've already reached 7,000 people with only 200 followers. Why? I'm going all in. That's a huge That's like over 100+% of what I have. 200 followers and 7,000. And it keeps going up. It was 6,000. Now it's at 7,000.1 people in a month. And I haven't even had the platform for a month.
Right. Yeah, it's been just under 3 weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been just under 3 weeks that you've been able to do that in. And so showing up, being consistent, promote.
And all in. I mean, when I first made Instagram, Tonya, I made a story every day for 5 years. Every day. Even if it wasn't just about every day I posted on the wall too, but I showed up on the stories. If you're going to show up, people follow the person who shows up. And it's always in success. I believe it's 90% of success is just showing up. Like your presence speaks for itself.
Yeah. I think what's important here is, you just mentioned you lost your Instagram.
30,000.
So for my audience,
30,000 people.
Yeah. So for my audience, you had 30,000 just in an instant, you lost it and then have had to rebuild. And within this short period of time, look at what you've been able to do. It's been amazing at what you've been able to do. And I think that, with you being, in my opinion, one of the best marketing brand growth strategists out there, you've been able to do what a lot of people haven't been able to do. And that's because you're very consistent. You're showing up every day and multiple times a day, and on some platforms for long periods of times, speaking to your audience. And I think that has paid off for you. And like you said, you've reached 7,000 plus people. And what is also so awesome, and if you could speak to this, you're in 90 countries. Can you speak to that? I mean, how many people out there are in 90 countries?
So Facebook did that. And the divine creator leveraged it. And
it's amazing.
I leveraged it. And the thing is,
I want to be there.
So
I want to be there.
You are, because we're a team. So I'm like, yo, check out Tonya. So the most important thing is I had a Facebook group, and in that Facebook group, I started funneling in the people that were following me to kind of grow. But then they kept inviting their friends, and it just continued growing and growing and growing and growing. But one day I got rid of the Facebook group, but I saw the stats, and I had over 90 countries in that Facebook group. The way it got to that, when I was offered to be Mr. USA, there was already 36 countries competing against me. So automatically my modeling platform was shared across 36 countries. But then I did it again. So then another round of 30 countries were there. But it's not just the 30 countries I compete against. It's also the people that were fans of the followers that were also. So it created like a web. And then I did it a third time. And the third time, the whole time that I was doing it, because just because you have a follower doesn't mean you have a supporter. And where I learned that, when I crushed my Facebook group and started fresh, but I still had the Facebook friends, I created a male empowerment group. And in a weekend, 48 countries joined. So that's where I saw, I don't just have 90 followers as fans. I have 90 countries as fans. I have 90 countries as like, we're with you. Because, and it's all men. So for men to join a group is already that's already like pulling strings. 48 countries joined in a weekend. And that started telling me like this 90 country thing is a big responsibility. And that's when I went to Alito and I was relaxing and I said, okay, I have 90 countries. Now what do I do? So I started creating Facebook groups so I can cultivate it. Like I have the spiritual group, the wild ones, the Brandex growth, my inner circle. The King's group is the male empowerment. Like I started cultivating it because I'm like, all right, we got 90 countries, but now how do we like compartmentalize it into its who wants what kind of thing? And what I've learned is honoring a soul will always have someone being a part of your social media. And I said it yesterday too. I said, I sang the song Lean on Me. Lean on me. You know, all of that. And I said, no matter how much my platform is going to grow more or how much fame is going to start happening, because now even more is going to happen with the music industry, I want you to always feel like if you need to message me and say, hey, I'm going through something, I will always honor that. That's what makes me 90 countries, because I believe that the creator of people will bring you people if you honor people. So I believe when I was faithful with little, even with fitness coaching, I would never try to scam my client to get another sale. I would always honor their body. And even if I knew they would be better off without me, I would give them all the secrets to have a better lifestyle. And then that happened with business. And now it happens with 22,000 people on a TikTok. In a week, 22,000 people streamed it when I was live. And it's like, it's just proof that you love people, you will eat from the treetops. There's a story of that. A turtle has a heart the size of a thumb. A giraffe has a heart the size of a fist. T.D. Jakes said this. A turtle eats from the ground. A giraffe eats from the treetops. So you will continue to be raised up the more you just have a big heart.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you.
So, and I don't want to forget, because I want to give you the opportunity to talk about your music. I don't want to leave this interview without that opportunity. But before we go there, what has been one of your biggest obstacles as you've built your business?
Not knowing who I was. Every time I competed as Mr. USA and I didn't win, a heavy depression would take over. Because I'd be like, why?
Wow.
Why? Like, because these competitions would come to me unexpectedly. So I thought it was going to be like this, miracle story. You're Mr. USA and then you win the world title. And I was one of the strongest candidates a lot of times, but there was a lot of favoritism and all these things. So I was incredible beyond what the judges saw. But when a judge didn't see it, I couldn't see it. And it happened multiple times. Like, I've competed internationally. And the last time that it happened, it really hit rock bottom because I prepared for 2 years and then I didn't get the top 10. I find out later there was politics involved and all these things, but I did win Best Interview, which meant I had the best project to help the world, which is better than like modeling. At the end of the day, of course I would win best project for the world. I mean, but
yeah,
my biggest obstacle was I didn't know who Branden was, and I didn't even go by the name Branden. I was going by Brandex for a very long time. You met me as Brandex. I wasn't stepping into my identity, and my biggest obstacle was always seeing giants outside of me, seeing a giant in a world competition, seeing other people's perception of me as a giant, seeing the music industry as a giant, seeing social media and the following and performing for them as a giant instead of seeing Branden as a giant. And that was one of my greatest obstacles. But I slayed that giant. And now I'm like, all right, so how big am I? So I continued going. And I think the last slaying of that giant was when the 30,000 followers left. Because honestly, Tonya, there was times that I would post and it wasn't performing so well. I had 30,000 followers and I get like 100 likes and I was under 1%. So when a brand was going to collaborate with me, I could tell they were seeing that and they're like, where are your followers? What is this? They don't like you. So it didn't look good. It wasn't a good look to have 30,000 and get 1%. And it's because all these people knew me based off of a brand. Even Mr. USA is a brand for a competition. The supplements was a brand for this. My fitness was the only brand for me, but it wasn't even my name and it wasn't even my thing. It was just a thing to make money to survive after losing my job. So this 30,000 people didn't even know who they were following. And I didn't know who I was. So that's why when that page collapsed, for no one still knows why, but Meta was going back and forth with me. I literally woke up from a nap because our divine creator will help you walk through stress if you ask for it. If you ask for the directions. And I literally felt God say, take a nap. And I would wake up And then I do something and he'd tell me take a nap again. And I was like, is this depression or is this God? Well, one day I wake up from the pillow and I hear a new page on the stage. And that's when I realized, I'm like, wait a second. One thing that happened to me as a kid, Tonya, all my toys were broken when I was a little kid. And I used to create worlds with my toys. So when my social media came collapsing, that childhood trauma came to the surface. And I said, darkness came and broke my toys again. And I remember being in the shower and talking to God, and I was like, I'm so tired of this. You know, I'm a grown man. I'm getting a little teary-eyed here. But as I said it, I listened to a visualization every morning of my dream, which is funny. After that happened, I don't listen to the visualization anymore because it felt like the visualization became reality. And it said, you will impact millions. So I knew at that moment that even though that collapsed, my vision still stands. And what it was, and my friend also said something. She said, you created the content. The content didn't make you. You were the creator. And then that's why I've already posted over 50 pieces of content with only 200 followers. That Instagram flags me as a spam robot. It's like, whoa, you're too fast. You're too fast for our algorithm. And it's freaking out. How are you reaching 7,000 people? You have 200 followers and you posted 52 posts. It doesn't know what the heck to do anymore. So sometimes it's like, it literally tells me like, you're going against guidelines. Like you're going too fast. And I was like, I'm not a robot, but I'm a machine. And I'm a machine that knows who I am. No one starts an Instagram not like already knowing who they am. They kind of discover it along the way. This new page, I know who I am. And that's why it's like, I am Branden in the name part of it. Because my biggest obstacle is I saw myself for a long time as a wounded soul. And then I realized I'm like, no, that's what darkness tried to cause me to be. I saw myself as a puppet to society. I saw myself as a performer for society. But now Branden performs for purpose and knows the legacy and knows the mission. So the biggest obstacle to overcome was looking in the mirror and seeing the end in mind, but also seeing it's been since the beginning.
Wow. I love that. You know, even for me, you know, you've helped me out tremendously because back earlier in my business, you know, as I had employees, they would want me to brand myself as Tonya. And I fought against that because I wanted it to be my business. And now, you know, I see the importance of being me and who I am. And this weekend, I said this, I did a podcast earlier today that went live today. And as I posted, you know, you've gotten me to do more stories, do a few reels, which has been very uncomfortable for me because it's just hard for me to be me. But I'm learning, you know, through you and through him, I'm learning truly who I am and who I am through him. And number one, it's been a great feeling. But number two, it's helping me see things differently through a new set of lens. And as I've been able to do those things, it's been uncomfortable, but it's been comfortable, if that can even make sense.
It's stressful.
And so the podcast that I did today was, yes, it is. And so the podcast I did today was, you know, getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And I mentioned in that, that while I do these things through the eyes of some, and the same with you, doing what you do, while it looks to many people that there's so much confidence there, there's so much self-esteem there, there's, so much I am there, when behind the scenes there's fear, there's, lower self-confidence, whatever. And it's uncomfortable. And I had someone message me and say to me from one of those stories that I posted that said, I love your confidence. I need your confidence. I follow your confidence. And I responded and said, thank you so much. I need that. But my confidence comes from me constantly saying to myself, I am unstoppable. I am confident. I am fearless. I speak with authority. I own my stage. And all of those things, have come from, even though I always have it posted here in front of me behind my computer, but even though it's been there, it did not sink in here until I really started hearing you talk about, who am I? Who am I? And so, hearing you talk about who you are a king, you are a star, you are an artist, you are, all these things, that has really helped those things to stick in with me. And playing with the toys and understanding all of that has just been a blessing.
And the most important thing about the affirmation, it's your steps that follow it. So before I'll go and even do a live for 3 hours on TikTok and impact 5,000 people, I'll say world's greatest entertainer. And I go in. Because there's one thing to say it, but never showing up in it, you don't believe it. But when I could do live video, like the other day, I think I did a 4-hour live video, 6,000 people tuned in. Last Friday, I did a 3-hour live video at night. 22 countries tuned in and over 5,000 people were there. And I was like, this is so cool, Now, it wasn't 5,000 all at once. It was like a revolving door. But I saw the stats. It said 5,000 viewers. And I would ask them, what country are you? And they said Seychelles, Uganda, Nigeria, Finland. Like, it was so cool. But it's also, I'm stepping into my declaration. And I could easily say world's greatest entertainer, but never create music. Or never show up live. And that's why you don't know what you're declaring until you step into that. And it all goes down to writing the desires of your heart, and you start to see that. And I think what's been happening with you, Tonya, is also a lot of people will tell you there's greatness in you, but it's not coming from someone who believes it in them. I believe it in me. So when I say it to someone, it sticks. But then you also look at my life and you're like, oh, he really believes it in him. So then I can do this too. And it's because you're now, and everybody listening here who's going to end up following me, I just said it today. I was like, if you're in my space, you're my tribe, but you also vibe with me too. But I was just saying, like, I want to create people who all support me all over these countries. I want them to have meetups, because I'm like, if you follow me, you're a different human. Like, it's a different vibe. You can't follow me and think like everyone else. Like, it's different. Everyone's going left. Well, we're going to go the right way. So it's a different
Absolutely.
space. But
it's so
all
true.
because it's no longer blind leading the blind. And I believe in building your brand. It's your personal brand. I was just talking about this in the spiritual group Wild Ones. Moses was a murderer in Egypt. And he was a shepherd in the wilderness, in his father's land. But he needed to have these moments to then cultivate, because Moses being in Egypt taught him how to write, and being a shepherd taught him how to deal with people. So you needed both to then become the Exodus to set people free. So I realized I needed to be in an ER for 8 years to maybe love humans, because I would sit in those rooms and I would take 30 to 45 minutes just having conversations with patients. People think it's now live, but I guess I had my first live videos when I would talk to a wounded soul. I'm realizing this more now as I'm talking to you. Yeah, I would literally disappear and they'd be like, did you have like, where were you all this time? And I was talking to a patient. Like, I loved, but it goes back to the abuse as a kid and being wounded and caring about the wounded. And that's why I've realized too, like, what has caused me to love humans has always been recognizing the pain that humans have gone through. And I've gone through pain young. So now I have like x-ray vision with pain. Even yesterday I was sitting at lunch and I saw someone was sad and I confronted it. But not everybody's honest about it. I was like, oh, you look sad. Like, oh no. Like, I'll ask it because now you got to realize like, hey, your sadness is showing. People are so busy that they don't check on others. And my whole content is like, are you okay? I know I'm a star. I know I'm Mr. USA. I know I'm going through all this, but I'm good. Are you good? And not everybody can sit in that because not everybody's willing to confront their demons to say, I'm not okay. But those that say, I'm not okay and I'm willing to listen, the breakthrough happens.
True. We'll talk about how you had such a passion, for music, and you let that dream go. But then all of a sudden, I know for 14 years,
and I realize it's probably been longer than I've let it
all
go.
Of a sudden,
because
and then all of a sudden,
I'm sorry,
was able to return, and look what happened over the weekend. Share that with us.
Yeah, it was like over the weekend. Okay, so when I was 7 years old, I would listen to the songs at our church, and they would sing like My Redeemer and do a lot of songs. And I wouldn't just like the dance of it, because I would try to learn the dances, but I was 7, so it was really hard for me to comprehend. But I was so mesmerized by the dance moves. And I think I would sit through practices because my sister was in it. I would just want to be in the show. And then I would learn the lyrics to the songs. And I would go to elementary school in like the time where you're supposed to be just sitting on the patio. I was 7. And I would go and be like, hey guys, let me show you guys a song. I would start to do the dances and sing to them these songs. And then every time there was like a show and tell, I would show music. There was a Spanish one, I sang in Spanish. Like I was always showing up. Then middle school came and I did drama. I didn't try out for chorus because I think I started just little by little giving up that dream. I didn't do chorus until the last 2 years of high school. That goes to show that dream already had a pause. Because if you want to be a singer, you have the option to get free singing classes the whole way. But I remember being in class one day and I could hear the people singing. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. I never thought of this. I would hear the chorus people singing and we would like laugh like, oh, what is that? But it sounded so beautiful. And this desire to want to be a part of it. Every time I was like, I just want to, singing kept coming to me. Well, I tried out junior year and I made it to the top choir senior year. I never learned how to read music, but I made it to the top choir. And you're not supposed to make it if you can't read music, but my voice was that good that they were like, come on. Because the Bible was like, can't you read music? Because we're going to do 8-part harmonies. And I was like, sing the note. I got it. But tell me to read this Chinese. I can't read the Chinese. Music symbols is a whole language. And to this day, I still don't know how to read music. So it's just the way it goes. But I competed in the top choir competition in the country. It was in Chicago. The next year, me and the guys create a band and we sing around. We sang to people to collect money for Valentine's Day. That's when I started learning R&B. And I already knew R&B when I was a little kid, but I started really creating like that pop star, all that things. And this desire to try out for American Idol came. And I got crushed. Like I went all the way 7 hours out. And it goes back to the Mr. USA. I went all the way to Thailand believing I was going to win a world title. Came back. I went all the way to Jacksonville believing I was going to beat. And it's because I kept wanting a brand to discover me. I wanted American Idol to discover me. I wanted Mr. Global to discover me. And it's like, I didn't just realize that I don't need anything outside of me. I need me. So what happened over the weekend is I am my own publicist, my own recording artist, my own graphic artist, my own producer. I found the sound. I wrote the lyrics. All I needed was a sound engineer to connect the dots of my music and the beats that I found to put it together because I didn't know how to do it. And I'll leave that to somebody else because that's a whole other language again. But the beats, the music, the lyrics, the art, like the artwork for the album, everything. I did it. And I created the dance to it. And I realized whoa, all this time I was looking on somebody else. And you know what I did? My new album covers are from the photo shoots of Mr. USA. So I was promoting their brand That photo with the crown was from Man of the World USA. And that photo that I put up with the globe is when I was doing Mr. Supernational Florida that I didn't even win the USA title. But you see, everything that was used in the journey, and that's why you have to show up to the journey. And even when I said yes to being Mr. USA, that was just preparation to be a star, because I was ready to just be a network marketing supplement distributor and be just a top earner in that, but never to be a star. And if you went through my Instagram then, my modeling photos were always with a supplement, because the modeling industry got really dark. And very quickly, I was losing my soul for fame. And then I cleaned up my life. But then I feared having fame because I kept fearing that experience.
Wow.
So when I did modeling again in Mr. USA, obviously I took that journey again, but I wouldn't sing because I thought it was already too late, because I've gone so many years without singing. And it was just a constant thing of like, people telling me like, oh, you're good, but not that good. And I realized with singing, you get better the more you sing. It's like you just have to keep going. It's like a workout. Like you keep working out your muscles, your body's going to look great. But I would just let people tell me I don't sound as good as a star, and I would just let it cut me off. But when I decided last November, I had a very deep talk, existential crisis. Life was going really heading in the wrong way. And I realized it's because I wasn't even heading in the right way to begin with. I was trying to be everything but a singer. And the moment I said, I'm going to be a singer, my whole life entered into this bliss of like, whoa, yes, this is it. And then I was like, but I'm still going to do business. I'm still going to do this. I'm still going to do that. And right now it's a space of like, I will help other people's businesses, but my business is this industry. And that's what's happened. Like, I have consulting clients, but I'm helping them with their empire. And my entire empire now is my music and my academy, which I've already taught all the classes. So now it's just going to be replays, but it's going to be pure music, because your destiny requires your full focus.
Wow. So what's next? Is that what's next, or do you have?
What's
next?
I plan to go to Nigeria in May. I've been noticing my music is becoming a big hit in Africa. It happened on TikTok, and I had already felt that desire before. But I want to go to Nigeria. I've always had a dream to help out with orphans. I would love to just do music videos with these orphans and bring awareness to these. I've been watching a video of someone that did that in Uganda. And I would love to sing and dance with these orphans and give them global exposure, but just by singing them. People know it exists. Here's the link. Check it out. I go there. I know it's real. I know it's checked on. All of that. And just go and sing and dance with orphans and like do epic stuff and be that little child that had his toys broken, but realizing that my toys don't bring my joy. My imagination, my creativity brings my joy. Because Tonya, one thing about my toys, I would create entire worlds. So it makes a lot of sense when I'm creating lyrics and music video and all this stuff, because I used to do that as a little kid. Like I would create whole scenarios and write scripts. Another thing that's next is I'm writing a book called The Unseen Realm. And I realized that my music is a lethal weapon against darkness. And it's the unseen realm. The same way I said that a giraffe's heart reaches the top. Well, if the creator of humans doesn't like the music, how are people getting access to this music? It's because there is sponsorships, endorsements, and a lot of stuff that is endorsing the darkness to be at the front line. Because I truly believe that our divine creator loves the human souls, that he would protect people from this. But because it's so loud and so out there, that something is getting people access to people beyond just their talent. And blocking what is good and quality. So I've learned that also I have seen how the trajectory of the lies that people have told me about my music pops up when I'm about to show up strong. My bank card, I dealt with a theft the week I needed to go to the studio. The day I mentioned that I'm going to be a star on my social media account gets crashed. So I was like, there's a different realm out here. And it's not this person. It's not like someone stalking me. It's not like I have a hitman. is that there is a dark realm out here that is threatened. And one day God just told me, you're powerful. And I realized that being raised in abuse, I was conditioned to think otherwise.
Yep.
So there's a realm out there that
I believe it.
If we choose to be blind to it, we will stay in the mundane and never tap into our legacy, or always feel, because I'm not going to lie, Tonya, the desire to produce music, God had to sit me down one day and say, you're untouchable and you're unstoppable. Because we hear a lot of rumors of the music industry, and it's darker than what we wanted to address. And there's a lot of stuff that surfaces. So I think, like, why should I even try? You know, like, why would I even mess with this mountain? And it's like, oh, well, if only you knew that you're going to shift the appetite and people are going to want to walk off of that mountain and go into this mountain. And that, but also that I am untouchable and unstoppable, made me realize that if anything is stopped, it's just not what it's meant to be. Because my creator told me I'm unstoppable. So that's why when the page collapsed, I said, well, then that means it wasn't meant to be. Because I placed everything.
Right.
And even right now, I had the option to be on a Spotify playlist. And I felt led, like, no, we're going to do things differently. So we can't even say that Spotify made it. You see, it's like, like we can't keep giving brands the access to you. You're going to do this.
Yes. Wow, that's wonderful. So if people want to follow you, where can they follow you?
Where can't they follow me? You just can't follow me in person, because I don't sit still in person. I'll be on an island one week. Okay, so my name is Branden, Branden, which means lighthouse. Now you'll know that. And Alaen, Alaen. So it sounds like Alan. It's A-line, like aligned, alignable. Alaen, Alaen. And that actually means attractive. So it's attractive lighthouse, which is funny how the name speaks for itself. Instagram, it is King, K-I-N-G, Branden Alaen. Facebook is Branden Alaen. TikTok is I am Branden Alaen. Or if you look up I am Branden, you'll also be able to find that. YouTube, we're still working on that. So hold on that. And then Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora. It's so cool to say this. Branden Alaen. Wow, that felt weird. Like, normally it's just Instagram, and now I'm like, whoa, we're taking over some other platforms. And you know what, Tonya? When Instagram came crashing, within 2 weeks, I got 1,000 followers on TikTok. So I realized, like, things could try to stop and collapse, but light can't be stopped. And that's why.
That's right.
What's next for me is, one day I was sitting by the pool, and I saw this bright light shining, because the pool has lights. And I just felt God say, the brighter your light, the farther you reach. So what's next is that I continue to work on the light inside of me to reach the world.
That is great. That's awesome. That's awesome. This has been absolutely fantastic. Wonderful. I look forward to many more. Of course, you have team members that are going to join us.
Children.
And I believe you're going to be on some of those interviews as well, which is going to be great. I look forward to that. And those of you that are subscribers, thank you for subscribing. And those of you that have not already subscribed, please do that. And until actually tomorrow, because we are doing a podcast challenge this month of April. So we will have a podcast posting every day. I'm used to saying, Branden, until next week, but it won't be next week. It's going to be every day for 30, 40 days.
So proud of you.
Until tomorrow.
Thank
you.
Thank you. When you step into your greatness, it's stretchful. Besides stressful. So stress comes when you're just doing things you shouldn't be doing, and it's burning you out, like my old job. But stretchful
Yes.
is doing the things that you know you need to get done to become who you need to be. So I can only imagine how stressful it is to do this every day. So I'm proud of you. And I'm excited to have all these people being interviewed, because if y'all thought this was quality, stay tuned to what's about to go down this entire month.
Yes, absolutely. It's exciting. Well, again, thank you for being here, and don't disconnect. Hang on. And for the audience, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.